A Spurs-based team? How cool would that be? I don't want to drive people away. I want to get
That's
them
100%.
to us.
That's 100% what you're doing. I know it is. I'm not that dumb. You think I was born at night, but I wasn't. I was born in
No,
the
it
day.
actually isn't.
Okay, I don't believe you. Like what? I don't believe you at all. No part of me believes you. Not my feet, not my hands, not my toes. I'm gonna make sure I have all the minutes right. Patrick McCaw, the poor guy. 0.43 fantasy points a minute. Like, what's the point of playing?
That's all you can say about him. It's pathetic.
See, like, that's why you got to check things. I had Rozier at 26 minutes on the sheet.
Oh, really?
Yeah, not that it makes a difference. He's trash, but was Jimmy ruled in yet? Is he still questionable?
I believe he's still questionable. I think he's more probable, though.
Yeah, I want to check that because I haven't. Oh, yeah, he's still probable. Okay, he is probable. That's what I thought. Because I already did Miami values, but I just wanted to make sure because. Oh, what did I just do? Brogdon's out. Sabonis, what are you doing? What's Aaron Holiday? 5'4". Okay. See, so that's kind of. Connell 22 minutes at 4-4. Kind of stinks that they have a ton of guards because McConnell's really good and very efficient, but he just doesn't see the minutes.
Mic check. Mic check.
Mike, check.
Yeah, so I don't know why you're not up there. What's going on, Jarrett? What's going on?
Keep me out of it. Oh, so they have Kemba at 25 minutes, eh? Oh, what did I just do? I don't know what I just did.
What's going on, guys? What's going on? Thanks for tuning in.
Okay, let me pull up my stream.
You already missed it. I wanted to test to see if a cut screen worked. It was a nice little background. You have to check it out after the stream.
Well, I can't see the stream. I can never see the stream at the beginning.
Well, then I'll show it to you at the end.
Oh.
All right, guys, we just got some injury news, so we haven't hit panic mode yet, though. Don't worry. We're still under control. We will start the stream here in a few minutes. We're just going to wait for more people to join. Thanks for your patience. Thank you.
Can we get some elevator music going?
You know green and red doesn't match, right?
Yeah, well, I wore the green to the gym, and then I
don't want you to look like an idiot. I'm just saying. I mean, you already look like an idiot with the jersey, and then you add red on top of it.
Wow. It's very clever, Matt. I hate calling you Matt. Bluff. They bumped Michael Porter's minutes down. Why?
Yeah, we just got the Beal news. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and get started here. TJ, are you ready to break down the slate?
No.
No?
Never. Are you?
I'm more ready than I'll ever be. It looks like there's some pending injury news, so let's go ahead and break down what just came out. So it looks like the Wizards just ruled out Bradley Beal, so we'll be computing those values in just a second. Looks like Brogdon is ruled out. Brogdon's out. Sabonis is still questionable, so we will hold off on Indiana. I think that is a pace down game for Indiana. So again, we're going to be competing that in just a second, but I'm not too thrilled about Indiana, but we'll see if anybody pops for them. Definitely still going to talk about these games with the high over-unders first. But first, I want to go ahead and talk about last night, guys. As you guys know, TJ is back. He wasn't with us last night. I got the job done, though. It was a one-man wrecking crew. So cash lineup did cash. So if you are a member of the site, you are fully aware of that. Also, all the picks that we did announce on live stream did do fairly well. I had one minor mistake. I don't want to talk about it, but Drummond, I did say he was a little pricey for me. He did do fairly well. But don't worry, I did recommend Whiteside as a very good pivot, and guess what? He did do better value-wise. So I didn't miss completely, but I did miss just a little bit. But out of the entire stream, the picks were pretty on point. Got a lot of love this morning in the DMs and the YouTube comments, so definitely appreciate that, guys. Definitely appreciate it. Let's go ahead and dive right into this slate, though. That's our priority. I want to go ahead and start on the Don't know why TJ just is looking away. I want to go ahead and start on the Rockets. I want to go ahead and start on the Rockets because the Rockets are the most intriguing on the slate. Obviously, my thumbnail is of James Harden. I want to talk about why he's such a good play. TJ, you want to go ahead and start off with that?
Yeah, so obviously we have the news that Russell Westbrook is out tonight. So Harden at 12.8 becomes a very good cash option, averages 1.85 fantasy points a minute with Westbrook off the court in an 8.9% usage bump. So Harden should be a near lock in cash lineups tonight, regardless of the price. And the other guy we're looking at for cash right now is Clint Capella, 7,800. I know it's a little pricey, but with the matchup and with the other guys on the court for the Rockets, they're not very efficient. So Capella is a 1.19 fantasy point per minute. So I really like Harden tonight. I really like Capella tonight for cash. Then when you go to, as I will call them, the others, you have Austin Rivers, you have Daniel House, you have Eric Gordon, and you have PJ Tucker. Good luck trying to figure out which one you want. All of those guys are below a 0.7 fantasy point per minute. All of them should see around 25 to 30 minutes. I think Rivers should see the least of those four, probably around 24, 25. PJ Tucker probably getting the most minutes, anywhere from like 34 to 38. Tucker is also the worst fantasy point per minute player of those four of the bunch. Averages 0.56 with Westbrook off the court. He also hasn't had a bucket in the last 2 days or 2 games, so that's a little that's definitely something to look at. PJ Tucker kind of just stands in the corner, doesn't do much. He's a great defensive present, but when it comes to the offensive side of the ball, he literally doesn't do anything.
Oh, you aren't kidding. He literally didn't score the last 2 games.
No, yeah, he hasn't scored in the last 2 games. Wow. I think his usage rate over the last 5 games has been like low teens. So that's just he just stands in the corner. He really, I mean, granted, a lot of these guys do. It's a lot of Harden just dribbling, and then he'll drive and kick, or he'll drive and get to the line because I mean that's their offense. So or he'll dish to Capella for an oop. So. I really like Harden, really like Capella tonight for cash. And then those other guys, it's kind of like pick and choose, try and figure out who you think might be the best. Right now, I'm leaning toward House and Gordon, but that's just my opinion on that game.
Yeah, and as far as GPP options in this game, it's kind of hard to decipher. We know Macklemore can shoot the ball 20 minutes. I mean, you can even throw him in the mix. But if I'm going to play anybody from this game, it's just like what you said. It's going to be the James Harden. You guys listen, don't overthink this. Play James Harden tonight, please. For the love of God, please play James Harden. He is the most, I mean, this is the most straightforward option on the entire slate. As we know, if he is the only guy on that team, which it has been in the past when he played with CP3 last year, he got up in the 14K range. I mean, the guy can ball out when he's by himself. He is literally the offense on that team. So don't overthink it. Play James Harden and a lot of your lineups, if not all of them. I'm also torn on the last 3. Tucker, Gordon, or House. I'd probably say House just because he's probably the best player of those 3. And then I'd probably just go to Tucker because of the minutes. But again, that's not saying much. He doesn't do much. So I mean, any one of those 3. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say you need to start one of these 3. You can start all 3. You can get away with probably fading one of them. But I do recommend playing if you're going to go for a filler spot. Play one of these guys or at least 2 of them. These guys will get the job done. They will hit value. They should hit value. There's no point for them not to. They have to be, I mean, it's 121. It's the highest over under on the entire slate. So Houston chalk, run with it. It won't let you down. It should not let you down tonight. They should have plenty of opportunities, all of those guys.
Yeah, and guys, just to add injury to insult on that game, the over under started at 236.5. Or 235.5 is what it opened up at. Say it again.
It's been moving up all day.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure when I checked earlier, it was up to 237. It's back down to 236, so it's bumped up a little bit, 57% on the over. So Rockets also have the highest implied team total at 122. So Harden can't score all those points. I mean, he can go for 60, but 50 or 60, but there's still 60 or 70 points to get scored. For the Rockets if they can hit that team total, which against a weak Atlanta defense, a very high-paced game, I would expect them to. So Harden and Capella, great plays, and then if you want to try and take your chance with PJ Tucker, God bless you, but I'm definitely leaning toward Daniel House and Eric Gordon to pick up the slack.
Yeah.
And I just want to make one quick note, Matt.
Yep.
Tuesday nights, guys, I will not be available for the next 9 weeks. I play volleyball on Tuesday nights. Don't make fun of me. I'm an old man, but I play at 5:30 and 6:30. So Matt will be manning the station on Tuesday nights alone. So.
Yep. Also, guys, at the end of the week here, I'm going to be going on a cruise on Sunday. I don't want to break the news to you quite so early, but I will be out next week. But don't worry, we will have something in place for you guys. Do not panic. Do not worry. We will give you as much fantasy news as possible. So, also, I want to go ahead and jump on to the next game here. We have a lot to cover, so TJ, if you don't mind, I'm going to speed up just a little bit here. I want to go to the Denver Chalk. No, don't worry, guys. If you just joined the chat, we really haven't gotten anything just yet. We've only been over the Houston Chalk, so you guys have not missed a thing. We actually haven't computed the Washington players yet, so you have not really missed much at all. We went live at 5:40ish. Denver Chalk. So Denver is in a low over-under game, but there's a ton of value in this game that I really, really like. And really, Denver, I don't know why DraftKings seems to underprice these guys just in general. But definitely now. Michael Porter, actually, I just noticed that his minutes went down. It doesn't scare me too much because he's such a productive player. But 24 minutes, 3.8. I really do like Michael Porter. He is a 1.03, if I remember, fantasy point per minute player. I don't know if you want to correct me on that, TJ. But that should easily get to the value. Tonight. Another player I really like from this game, or from this team rather, is Gary Harris, 4K, playing 36 minutes. I mean, he has to get these shots up tonight. 36 minutes. I really do like Harris. Plenty of opportunity. And then Paul Millsap at 24 minutes. I have to recalculate his value because it looks like these minutes were adjusted downward. But my two favorite plays from this team, Michael Porter and Harris, if you're looking for value tonight.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Michael Porter at 24 minutes, he averages 1.08 fantasy point per minute. He's actually a 7 on our sheet. He's an unbelievable value tonight at 3.8. I also do like Gary Harris. He gets a little bit of a bump with Will Barton off the court, averages 0.74. He normally averages 0.64 with no injuries, so a little bit more productive with Will Barton off the court. Actually a 6.8 on our sheet too, Matt. So at 36 minutes, I mean, at 4K, you should be able to hit that value. Should be able to get 20 DK points and more. And I also agree with you on Paul Millsap. He averages 1.13 fantasy point per minute. The minutes themselves scare me. Hi, I'm on stream. Okay. Hey guys, that's Amanda. That's my girlfriend. So the 24 minutes alone kind of scare me, but at 4.8 going up against Dallas's front court, I do like him to hit value. And then the other guy I like is Grant tonight at 3.3. Should get 24 minutes, so I think him and Millsap might split the minutes. Averages 0.81 fantasy point per minute. He's actually a 6 on our sheet too, so I like all those guys as cash options. But if I'm looking at two, it's going to be Michael Porter and Gary Harris.
Completely agree with that. I think for GPP is when you start to get out into those lower minutes. But if you're looking for solid value plays, I'm leaning towards Porter and Harris 1,000%. Porter, I wouldn't let those 24 minutes scare you. Plus, it's near bottom of the barrel. It's 3.8, so it might be a little bit scary for some of you, but don't let that scare you at all. Highly efficient player, highly efficient, if not one of the most efficient on that roster besides Jokic. So, Jokic, Plumlee, yeah, I mean, he's right up there with them. So, don't be scared away with that.
Porter will be really chalky too when it comes to cash. So I think he's a good building block for cash. He'll probably be the one of the highest owned guys tonight. So
just bear with me 1 second, TJ. I'm just calculating Denver with their new minutes here.
Good. Sorry for the interruption, guys. Amanda doesn't care about the stream, so she just barrels in.
She cares if we're making money, though. That's what she does care about.
That's what girls do, you know?
19.44. All right, I have them all ready. Okay, let's go ahead and switch gears to let's go ahead and talk about the Knicks. And don't worry, guys. Go ahead and ask any questions you have. We will get back to them. I just want to touch base on all the important teams and see if we can answer any of your questions already. So have those questions ready. We will get to them in just a moment. But I want to talk about the Knicks. The Knicks are without. Let me look at their just to make sure that I have
Morris
all of them. Is it Morris? It's Morris and
Randall.
Looks like they have some questionable tags on Knox.
Yep.
Robinson.
Well, Morris is doubtful.
Okay.
Knox is probable.
Okay.
Robinson's probable. And I don't know about DSJ, but he doesn't matter much. He would only affect Frank. So I mean, it's more of just Morris and Randall.
Okay. So Morris and Randall. So the Knicks are playing the Jazz. So let's talk about this real quick. They're playing the Jazz. It's going to be, the line was moving towards it looking more like a blowout. 103.5 is what they're projected at. Utah's at 115. This is a pace down spot for the Knicks. Do you recommend playing anybody from this game? And if so, who and why?
Yeah. I mean, the only guy I'm looking at for cash is Bobby Portis at 3.8. That's the only person I think is cash viable for tonight, even with Julius Randle and Marcus Morris being out. Knicks off a back-to-back after getting blown out by the Lakers last night. They have another tough matchup against the Utah Jazz. The spread right now is 12. So in the Knicks right now, implied team total over is actually below 100 points. So I don't like that. So the Knicks don't intrigue me tonight. I'd be interested to see if Taj Gibson gets a start or if they start Bobby Portis. I'm assuming they'll give Gibson the start, but I would assume Bobby Portis will play more minutes off the bench. And at 3.8, if he does get the 28 minutes that he's currently projected for, I think he should be able to hit cash. I hit value. So he's the only person that I'm really looking at for cash.
How about Mitchell Robinson? Do you have any interest in him?
Not for cash, no.
Okay. No, I just wanted to verify what you were saying. It completely aligns with me because I think this is one of those games where you just need to play Bobby Portis and get away from it. Just get away from it, guys. 28 minutes. Bobby Portis is an efficient player, but I wouldn't let the line scare you. He should get his minutes. He has to get his minutes just with the injuries. And as we know, Randall is a usage monster. I wouldn't overthink this. Again, this is one of those players where you just kind of plug in, pray for the best because 3.8 is just way too cheap for this type of player. I think he actually comes out to be one of the highest point per dollar players on the slate. So don't be scared of the blowout potential. Just hope that it stays close because hopefully that will just be better for Portis. Portis is going to be fairly high owned too. They show him as one of the highest owned on the slate. So just plug him in. Don't look back. And I wouldn't be playing anybody else from the Knicks, although they do all get a usage bump. If this game does stay close, I don't mind a couple of these guys for GPP plays. Like, I don't mind the Mitchell Robinson. I don't mind an Elfrid Payton. And I don't mind an RJ Barrett as GPP flyers. But I would definitely do not recommend them as strong plays. I think there's better options on the slate.
Yeah, the other guy I would say is Reggie Bullock. Should get the same minutes that he got last night. But I think Bobby Portis is the one that's gonna eat up the ownership, especially in cash. But I think some of these guys are very GPP viable, like Mitchell Robinson, even Taj Gibson if he gets the minutes at 3-1. Reggie Bullock as a GPP play, like you said, Elfrid Payton, RJ Barrett. I think they're all GPP plays, but I think Bobby Portis is the one guy that's gonna garner a lot of ownership, especially in cash. So.
Yeah, I agree with you. I want to talk about the Pelicans now. Pelicans are without Drew Holiday. This is an intriguing team because the last time they played, it was like the Knicks playing the Jazz on this slate. They played the Jazz in the last slate, and I had faded Ingram because of the defense of Utah, and it came back to bite me. Not bite me, but I missed out on a fantastic play from Brandon Ingram. Brandon Ingram finished with like 8 times value on that game and ended up being like an absolute shootout. So yeah, that's one of the main reasons you do not look at the spreads of these games too in depth and worry about these blowout potentials because you can miss out on huge plays. I'm not making that mistake ever again. Brandon Ingram is very efficient without Drew Holiday on the court. This is a pace up spot for Brandon Ingram. I do like Brandon Ingram and I do like Josh Hart. Josh Hart, don't let recency bias mess with your head here. 4.2, 30 minutes. He was in foul trouble last game. I know TJ is not liking Josh Hart because
I don't want to talk about Josh Hart.
Yeah, he doesn't want to talk about Josh Hart because he did take him in his cash lineup the last time we played. But Josh Hart, recency bias, don't let that get in the way. He should hit value pretty easily. This is a pace-up game. He should get plenty of offensive opportunities tonight. I do like Josh Hart. I do like Brandon Ingram. Outside of that, I'm not liking too much. But those are my 2 favorite plays from that team. Do you agree?
Yeah, I do, unfortunately. I really like Ingram tonight. I really liked him the other night. I know he was a guy that I had been mentioning to you on Monday night prior to that game. Josh Hart rates out really well on our sheet. I know he got into foul trouble on Monday night. He had 2 fouls in the first 3 minutes, and then he picked up another one in the early third. I thought he was actually not even going to play the rest of the first half. I thought he was just going to get those 5 minutes when he picked up 3 fouls. He ultimately did nothing. He hit like 2 threes, and that was it. It's so frustrating. Ingram and Lonzo really took over that game. So, like Matt said, don't let recency bias affect your opinion. It's definitely affecting mine right now because my hatred toward Josh Hart after the pivot Monday night. But at 4,200, if he does get the 30 minutes, if he can stay out of foul trouble, he's still a 0.9 fantasy point per minute player. So I can definitely get behind taking him in cash. And I do also really like Ingram. With Holiday off, 1.34 fantasy point per minute. So I do like both of them tonight for cash, and I think they'll carry some ownership for sure.
Thank you for the shout out, Juan. We really do appreciate the support. I'm glad we were making you some money. Got a lot of love this morning on the YouTube video. Guys, hold on to your questions. Feel free to go ahead and spam the chat. We will get to them in just a moment. I want to switch gears again, TJ. Before I start talking about all these other teams, Dallas, I want to talk about Indiana, and then I want to talk about the beatdown later on that the Spurs are going to put on Boston. But I want to talk about with the Wizards first. I haven't we've heard the Beal news. We haven't done the research, so I'm going to do that here on stream. TJ, I know you have a little bit more insight on that. I think you were starting to punch in numbers.
To be honest, I haven't.
Okay, then let's do that right now because I want to make sure we're not missing out on anything.
I'm getting bundled behind the scenes by my girlfriend, so
okay. No worries.
There's just a ton of bundling going on here. But from first glance, without even doing the numbers, the Wizards line, I'm pretty sure just went from 106 to 105. I mean, the one guy I'm staring at again is McGray. 6,600. I know that price tag seems a little bit iffy, but he's been great so far, especially with Beal being off the court. Played 39 minutes against the Celtics. He was really dominant until that fourth quarter because Ish Smith kind of just took over. And I know
I liked your Ish Smith call, by the way, the other night.
Yeah,
really liked that.
The guy coming off the bench, I feel like, was the more had the better matchup against the Celtics. And Ish Smith kind of proved me right. They basically ended up hitting the same amount of value. I'm pretty sure McRae might have had like 2 more DK points, but if I'm looking at anybody, it's going to be McRae. The other guy that intrigues me is IT. Again, at 4.5, the salary is a little low. He got a little bump since the Celtics game. He was 4-1. He only played 23 minutes. He didn't see the court in the fourth quarter because Ish Smith was so dominant and kind of took over. So they didn't even bring IT back in the game in the fourth, which kind of scares me a little bit. I would definitely like IT tonight as a GPP play. So if I'm looking at anybody first glance for cash, it'd be McRae.
I'm gonna get to that in just a second here. I'm almost done computing these guys.
Yeah.
Did they update his minutes? IT at 26. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Okay, just making sure.
Yeah. McRae at 35. Ish Smith 33. Troy Brown 36. Mahimi at 25. IT 26. Dude, everybody is hitting me up right now. This is crazy. Gary Payton at 26 as well. So, like I said, first glance, it would have to be McRae. I'm going to compute as well right now. I know that you are on stream.
Yep. Everybody's seeing this. They're getting the first look.
It's pretty crazy that what the Wizards got going on with the injuries still. It's just...
Yeah, it's unreal. It feels like last season, too. If you don't remember, the last season, they were just all over the place with injuries.
What's going on with John Wall? Like, was it his ACL? I can't even remember why he's out.
It was his ACL, MCL.
ACL? No, it's his Achilles, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
I knew it was something major.
And just like, I wonder what he's going to look like when he comes back. I mean, he'll be 30 by the time he gets on the court again.
Yeah, I want it to be another Derrick Rose thing.
I hope not. I hate talking about past Derrick Rose and what... I mean, he looked good the other night. Was it last night? Yeah, it was last night. They played last night? Yeah, he looked good. He started the second half. I think he played 30 minutes too, which is pretty rare for him. So, who else? Mo Wagner's out. Wagner. Who else? Rue, you're out. Oh, Garrison Matthew, your boy's out. Eric Gordon starting for Russell Westbrook. Marcus Morris confirmed out. Okay, so Bobby Portis looks like a lock for cash.
All right. I have a little bit of a better idea now that I computed these values. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about... Oh, that's not his real. 1,038 points is what I had projected for Pesniskis. So that's not right. That's
Lock
not
him in,
right.
boys.
Yeah, 1,700 points. All right, so let's talk about this. So if Troy Brown,
Matthews on the court,
you kept him on the court. Okay, I took him off. I mean, it's a decent sample size.
No different, but I mean, McRae is 1.22 fantasy point per minute with all those guys off, and 35 minutes. He probably should get more. He's a very good value on our sheet, so probably gonna lock him in for the cash lineup. To be honest with you.
You said you recommended McRae as a great play, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, for cash tonight, yeah, I would. And Ish Smith. I mean, if Ish Smith sees 30, I think they're both viable.
Okay. So here's my thought. Troy Brown 36, McRae 35, and then Ish Smith 33 are all very viable options tonight for these point guard plays. I really do like the matchup that they have against Orlando in general. I feel like it is going to be a little more competitive than the 10-point spread here. I don't mind any one of these players. Hopefully these percentage ownerships do update, because if these guys are really this low, I really do like these guys in GPPs. I know I say this if you guys already know. I think you come to the stream all the time. I really do like the Wizards without Beal, just because these guys, they have a very high ceiling. They're very good shooters. All these guys are secretly good shooters. If Troy Brown's actually getting 36 minutes, I love Troy Brown, I love McRae, and I do love Ish Smith. They're all good point per dollar players. So if you look here, with all the injuries they have without the core, I'm going to go down the list here. McRae garnishes a 29.1% usage, 1.22 fantasy points per minute. Ish Smith 0.9, and then who am I missing? Troy Brown 1.04, 23% usage. So we know that Troy Brown doesn't garnish that high of usage just because he's a shooter. But a good one at that, 1.04 fantasy points per minute. So all these guys are very viable options in GPPs. I don't even mind them if you decide to go that way for cash. I have to see how the lineups end up, how the molds end up with all these lineups to recommend these guys for cash plays. But I do like these plays.
Yeah, I can get behind that. The Wizards only have 9 bodies tonight too, so they have a really tight rotation, obviously. The available Wizards for tonight are IT, Peyton, McRae, Bonga, Mahimi, Ish Smith, Brown, Schofield, and Pasnik. So that's all they have for bodies. So they have 9 guys. All those guys should see minutes, and Troy Brown, McRae, and Ish Smith should all see probably 35 and more, I would assume. So I think definitely those are all cash plays.
Yeah, I mean, and we talk about McRae's recent performance. We did this on last stream, 39, 50,
and that
20.
was without he wasn't even productive in the fourth quarter. He did most of his damage in those first 3 because Ish Smith just completely took over. So
yeah, so we do know that. I mean, they have a decent matchup against Orlando. I know it's a slight pace down spot for Washington, but with these tight rotations, I really do like these types of plays. I do like these types of teams with all these injuries. So definitely am on board with Washington, at least that guard play. So Mahimi, definitely a GPP play because he has that bad matchup against Fuchs, but guard play, I do recommend. All right, I want to start answering these questions just because we're getting a little bit behind here. I'm going to scroll up.
Do you want to just go over some other? I'm going to go over some other filler cash guys that I like, and then if people have certain questions on teams, I feel like we covered most of the banged up squads besides the Pacers.
Yep.
No one really stands out besides.
Now Brogdon did get ruled out, right?
I'm sorry?
Brogdon got ruled out.
Yeah, still just pending Sabonis. Sabonis gets ruled out. That's kind of big, but
okay.
Could affect like Miles Turner or something like that, TJ Warren. So other cash viable guys that I like that might fly under the radar, Kyle Lowry tonight at 8,600. The over-under is not appealing at 208, but Van Vliet off the court, Lowry should get 38, 40 minutes. He averages 1.4 fantasy point per minute. He gets an 8% usage bump with him off the court. He played really well last night. I know it's a back-to-back. I'm not really scared about that going up against those Hornets, the Hornets backcourt. He rates out very well on our sheet. Like I said, the only thing that kind of scares me is that over-under, but it should be a really competitive game. He should see those 40 minutes even on a back-to-back. So I think he's definitely a viable cash play, even though he probably won't carry a lot of ownership. Especially because a guy like Brandon Ingram will probably be a little more chalky, and they're kind of around the same price tag. I understand they're not the same position, but the same price tag at 86 and 88. Who else? We covered Harden. We covered Denver. We covered the Pelicans. We covered the Knicks. I also like Dante DiVincenzo tonight for the Bucks.
You just answered somebody's question.
Oh, did I really?
Yeah.
About DiVincenzo?
Yep.
Oh, nice. Yeah, so DiVincenzo, George Hill's out tonight, so I expect more run for Wesley Matthews and Dante DiVincenzo. Right now, they have Matthews projected to start. I think Dante should start, and I wouldn't be surprised if he does, but regardless, he should see 26 to 28 minutes tonight. He's only 4,200. He does a little bit of everything. He scores, he rebounds, he assists. So at 0.9 fantasy point per minute with George Hill off the court, it doesn't really affect his usage at all, but just the uptick in fantasy point per minute and production. He rates out pretty good on the sheet. It's tough because that 42, like that, the low 4,000s are really what is going to make or break you tonight, because there's so much value in those, in that area. You got Josh Hart, you got Dante, you got the Rockets guys. So a lot of value around, even like Eric Pascal tonight. He should see an uptick in minutes, even with Draymond Green back starting. He should see 24 to 26 minutes. I think he's kind of cash viable. He'll definitely fly a little bit under the radar. But I think tonight it's that, even it's like the 3,800 to 4,500 range is what's going to make or break you tonight. But yeah, that's just some of the other cash viable options that I think you can go to if you don't want to go to somebody like Josh Hart, Bobby Portis, or those Wizards guys, or even those low Denver guys.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Sorry, I was laughing at the chat. Somebody typed thoughts on Ketamine Grant, and I was looking at that. I was like, "Who's Ketamine?"
Dude, Ketamine might fly under the radar tonight. I think that's a solid GPP play. Ketamine's been getting a lot of minutes, so just keep your eye out on him. I think he's a young up and comer. So
yeah, so we had touched base on Jeremy Grant before. This was one of the first teams we touched base on. Jeremy Grant's actually a good GPP play. 24 minutes, 3.3, bottom of the barrel price tag. We know Grant can get productive. He can get hot. So definitely do like him as a GPP, but not so much on cash. I would look other places for cash.
I don't think you need him for cash tonight. I don't think you need to go that low. I think there's so much value from, like I just said, that 38 to 4,500 range. But he gets those 24 minutes at 33. That's kind of a pretty crazy price tag. So with Will Barton out, I think he could be cash viable, but I don't think you need him tonight.
All right, I have a bone to pick with the chat real quick. I was reading, because I do have Google Analytics hooked up to my YouTube channel, guys. 62% of you that were on the live stream yesterday were not subscribed. So I'm yelling at all of you guys who have not subscribed yet. For you guys who have subscribed, thank you so much. We do this every single night, so if this does help you guys and you do cash, we do appreciate the support. If you guys could hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and we look forward to having you guys on all the streams going forward. So that's my bone to pick with you guys, for you
Matt,
guys who haven't subscribed.
I want to touch base real quick. I guess it's CFS related, but not really. The big elephant in the room is your Spurs are coming to Boston tonight to play my Celtics. Yeah. I would like to have a nice little friendly wager with you that we can orchestrate on stream.
Okay.
We can do straight up, but I'll be a nice guy, seeing as the Celtics are 8-point favorites tonight, because they're just a better team than the Spurs. And
6.5.
6.5.
Yeah,
okay.
because Vegas obviously didn't know what they're doing, so the public's adjusting that.
So let's make a wager. Loser of tonight, if you want to take the spread, that's fine.
I'll take the spread.
So Celtics got to win by 7.
Okay.
Loser has to do 50 push-ups on stream to start tomorrow night.
All right, I will do that. 50 consecutive push-ups?
I mean, if you can.
I can do 50 consecutive. I was wondering for you. I'm just saying 50 consecutive. I don't know if you can handle that.
That was good. Yeah, we'll see. Maybe I could do 45, but
and maybe I could bust out 10, and then we'll do it in every minute. 10 every minute.
All right. So we'll shake on it.
All right.
These are just 50 push-ups on the stream.
All right, sounds good.
Okay.
All right, so the spread at 7 points now. Like, if it adjusts anymore, we're taking the spread now at 7 points.
Yep, Celtics by 7.
All right.
Got it.
All right. Now that we got that out of the way, I mean, I don't know why he's so happy about Boston. Did we get the news yet from Miami and Indiana on that status?
Everybody's playing for Miami and still pending Sabonis. So
okay, still pending Sabonis. So I feel like that's the last bit of news before we really have a direction
they're at 7
here.
though, so we should get it shortly.
So what I normally do for you guys that are new, I usually crunch 150 lineups here, because it shows all the builds, and it shows it shows me a good idea of what my builds are going to look like. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. I have 10% randomness. That's always my setting for you guys watching, you MMEers out there. I'm going to go ahead and let this build, and I'm going to go ahead and give you my favorite plays on the entire slate. So this is what you guys have been waiting for the guys who got in here a little late.
Terrence Davis is starting tonight.
We'll see how that shakes up his minutes.
I wonder who's McCaw's probably not starting, would be my guess. That's kind of wild. Terrence Davis, he only played 8 minutes last night, and now he's starting. I wonder what kind of minutes he'll get.
All right, here. So we had gone over all these players, and actually, we missed a player. So I want to touch base on Chicago in just a second. McRae, I feel like this is a reoccurring theme here. McRae, Troy Brown's going to be up there. Bobby Portis, James Harden should be a staple in all your lineups. Gary Harris, Michael Porter, Brandon Ingram, Josh Hart. I feel like that's going to be in almost all of my lineups there. I'm going to have a lot of exposure to these guys. These exposures that you guys see on screen are not exactly what I'm going to make it, but these are going to be my favorite plays on the slate. TJ, do you agree, disagree with any of that?
Yeah. Yeah, I can get behind all of them. Did you say Michael Porter?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
You said Bobby Portis. I heard that.
The only people I didn't mention are the Rockets. So, like the bottom of the barrel Rockets.
Yeah.
And again, I probably will increase their exposure, but these other guys that we went over on the Wizards are just fairly more productive. If I'm gonna take somebody from that roster, I'm gonna take Troy Brown if I can pivot up just a little bit off of like somebody like PJ Tucker, Eric Gordon for a similar price tag in that mid range.
Yep. No.
But yeah, I think it's the general direction of where I'm going, guys. If you guys want to take a look here.
There's one other guy that we didn't touch on that I still think is undervalued, and that's Luka.
Yes,
I
good
think
point.
that if Harden wasn't on the slate tonight, I'd be going with Luka, but I don't think Luka is a bad play tonight at all, especially in cash. I think he's a good pivot off of James Harden tonight. He's eclipsed 60 points in the last 4 games without Porzingis. I still think even the 12.3 price tag isn't appropriate for Luka. He's averaging, what is it?
1.97, I think.
198.
98.
Gets a 2.6% usage bump. He's already a usage monster. Obviously, everybody knows that. Does everything for that Dallas team. So, especially with Porzingis off the court. So
I also want to say that it's going to be a competitive game too. So he should be getting a bulk of that offense, if not any more than what he normally gets. He's going to get even more tonight.
Yeah, so I actually have a GPP lineup with Luka and Harden. The rest of it's very, very scary. But just to see both those guys in there with, they have the possibility each night of getting 70 DraftKings points. So I definitely do like Luka tonight, and I still think he's not severely undervalued at 12.3, but he's definitely underpriced.
All right. I want to go ahead and go back through these questions because we've been ignoring them. So I do apologize, guys. Let me scroll up here a little bit and see if we didn't answer any of these questions. So New York and Utah was covered. We only like Portis. Portis is the only viable option. Everybody else is GPP darts. Okay, so
they are good GPP plays.
Yeah, they aren't bad. Everybody on that team does get a they get a usage boost. Every single one of those players does. So it's actually pretty even too. The one person that stands out the most is RJ Barrett, but that's not by much. He gets like a 5.1% usage boost. Everybody else gets like a 3. So again, just they are darts in GPP, but I would not advise them in cash besides Portis, and Portis is a great option tonight. Who's a better flex, Josh Hart or Biyombo? Definitely Josh Hart.
For cash, yeah, for sure, Josh Hart.
Yep. Josh Hart and Vooch or Gary Harris and Jokic? That's actually a good question. I would probably go with...
I'd go with the latter.
You'd go with Harris and Jokic?
I would.
I'd probably go the other way for cash because I know Josh Hart he's going to be very high owned tonight. And Vooch actually will carry a decent amount of ownership despite the price bump just because of the high over-under. I'd go Gary Harris and Jokic. That's our answer. Harris and Jokic in GPP and Josh Hart and Vooch in cash.
and I'm opposite. But I think both are. I think you can't go wrong with either. To be honest, I think those
Yeah,
are
they're both good options. I agree.
yeah, two good groupings right there.
Thoughts on Gary Payton? I think Gary Payton is a very good GPP play because we don't know what's going to go on with his minutes. And as I computed, he's at 4K. Gary Payton is a productive player, 26 minutes. So, I mean, definitely a good GPP play, but I would not recommend him in cash.
Agreed.
Scroll down here. Levine or Ingram at Utah on DK. So you're asking between the two. Ingram, 1,000%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ingram's a great play tonight. Porter or Portis? I had to think about that. If you can get both of those guys in your lineup, please do. But if I had to choose between the two, probably Portis just because of the minutes. And I don't even know about that. I would take, it depends on what you're playing. I'd take the lower owned of the two. If I'm going GPP, and for cash to take the higher owned. So let me refresh for ownership because I want to point out the highest owned guys on the slate too, because that's something we actually haven't gone over.
I think Michael Porter and Bobby Porter are going to be the two highest owned tonight. So I think for
try
cash,
to get both of those guys in there.
I think for cash you take I like Michael Porter. Bobby Portis always has the off chance of sideswiping somebody in the face and getting ejected like he did last night. So, because he's an angry man. So
we pretty much already answered this question. Michael Porter and Eric Gordon are just our overall thoughts on the two. I like Gordon. I do. Now, with all the value plays on the slate, he does take a back seat to somebody like Portis and Michael Porter, but we definitely don't mind Eric Gordon and the high over-under on for Houston. So.
Real quick, Slothy asked me what my Harden Luka lineup is. It's actually Harden, Luka, and Kyle Lowry. So the average of my last five is 3.3K. So it's not pretty, man. I also have Michael Porter in there. So the rest of my four guys are all below 3,300.
Is a window in there?
There's no window. A window was too expensive to fill the rest of that lineup.
He's too expensive.
I couldn't squeeze a window in there.
Couldn't squeeze the powerhouse window in there.
Yeah, I know. He has been good. So I mean, and by good, he gets 20 DraftKings points and he hits value. So I mean, rank Gordon, Hart, and Harris for cash. I like Harris, Hart, and Gordon, but that's a crapshoot.
Say that again.
Rank Eric Gordon, Josh Hart, and Gary Harris in cash.
Okay. I like Gary Harris out of the three.
Yeah, I like Gary Harris because of the minutes with Will Barton out.
Yeah.
I mean, Eric Gordon starting, you would expect him to step up and help out Harden. So I wouldn't be surprised if Eric Gordon outscores those other two. But I think Gary Harris might be the safer, and he is the least expensive. Josh Hart is still. I'm just still envisioning what he did to me Monday night. So I don't know why I ever pivot. I'm like 0 for 6 this year when I pivot. It's pathetic.
Tokyo asks, is Harden a lock on FanDuel? I don't know about FanDuel's pricing, but if it's similar to FanDuel, or if it's similar to the DraftKings price, absolutely. If you're still here, if you can go ahead and update us with that price tag.
Nothing but net. Collins or Capella? Collins for GPP. I think you should get away from the Capella ownership. I think Collins will go severely under-owned in comparison to Capella. So I would go Collins for GPP.
This question is kind of funny. Since Kareem Birch is starting for the Magic at power forward, who on the Wizards would match up with him? And wouldn't that make that person a great play? Your logic makes sense, but the person on him is Bonga. So no. That's not going to be a good matchup.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Ken Birch is tough. Kendrick Williams just got ruled out.
Oh, did he? All right, we'll have to compute them again then.
I mean, it doesn't really do much.
It'll inflate the minutes a little bit.
I know he's projected the other night for 24. I don't even think he saw 24. I think he saw like low teens. He played 9 minutes. I mean, that doesn't really, yeah.
Thoughts on Lonzo? I actually like Lonzo as a good GPP play, but he is a bit overpriced for me. I'm going to have limited exposure to him, although he has been playing fairly well. I will give him that. But GPP-wise, just because his price tag has gotten a bump, people are not going to be that high on them. So a good GPP play for sure. Only projected at 2% here.
It's nuts how many threes he's been taking. It's
and been hitting them.
absolutely insane. I know he's actually hitting some, which is I think that's the crazier thing. Sabonis will start, so
okay.
Yeah,
so not too much has changed there.
That kind of steers me away from anybody on the Pacers. Aaron Holiday at 5'4" is intriguing, but besides him, against Miami, I don't really like any of those guys for cash. I think for cash tonight, your main guys are going to come from Washington. They're going to come from Houston. They're going to come from Denver, and Josh Hart from the Pelicans, and then Bobby Portis from the Knicks. I think those are your building blocks tonight for cash. And that's kind of what I would say to go with for cash tonight.
Yeah, I will say this: these plays are very straightforward tonight. Don't overthink it. Like if the chalk looks bad, I wouldn't overthink it because all the chalk tonight actually is pretty good outside of like the Houston guys. The Houston guys, we don't really know what's going to go on with them. But like I said, the Bobby Portis might seem like a bad play, but he's getting 28 minutes and he's a fairly productive player. I know they're playing Utah. Please don't be scared away from him. Michael Porter is another great play. And Gary Harris is a fantastic play at 36 minutes. So these are all good plays, even Josh Hart. So I mean, don't be scared away from the chalk tonight. I know there is such a thing as bad chalk, but I don't think it exists tonight except in the Houston game. So that's the only chalk that really scares me. But again, even Houston, they have a high ceiling. So if I had to stack a team tonight, it would be Houston. I know it's not that appealing because you want to go with a low-owned stack, but Houston is a great stack tonight. So if you stack those 5 Houston Rockets, it could definitely pay off for you, especially with the over-under at 122 now. So definitely like the Houston stack, and I definitely like a Denver stack tonight, which I had already talked about in the video, but I'm just reiterating. What you doing over there? You computing values?
Me?
Yeah.
I am tinkering with my cash lineup right now, and I'm trying to fit 4 specific guys, and I don't have money for it, so it's frustrating. I wish DK would give me more than 50K so I could make this happen, but I can't. So you got to make stands.
Yep.
Where to make them? That is the question.
Also, guys, we'll be getting off in about 6 minutes or so feel free to go ahead and ask any last-minute questions you have. Again, we are hitting a new high here in viewer count, so we really appreciate it, guys. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button. Please hit that notification bell so you can be the first to the stream. We give out all the injury news, we give out all the updates, and we give our favorite plays. I will go ahead and for anybody who has just now tuned into the live stream, I want to switch gears here. I want to show you our favorite plays. If you are joining late, McRae, Brown, Portis, Harden, Gary Harris, Porter, Ingram, and Hart are all fantastic options in cash and GPP. The lowest owned. It looks like, dude, this is actually very, very weird. TJ, Gary Harris is projected the lowest owned out of all those guys. I really like Harris as a sneaky GPP play, if that's actually true.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Harris is going to be that high owned in cash tonight, so I don't think you necessarily need him. I think he's a good value. So if you land on him, I don't think you should be scared off of him. But I don't necessarily think you need him. He actually probably just fell out of my cash lineup with that Wizard news. I do need value somewhere, but I seem to be looking at Michael Porter and Bobby Portis. So I think my building blocks tonight for cash are going to be Michael Porter, Bobby Portis, Clint Capella, and Harden. And then I'm trying to fit McRae in there too. So I think that actually means that Brandon Ingram might find himself out of the lineup because it's impossible to have. Yeah, it's really tough to have Harden, Capella, McRae, and Ingram. Doing everything I can to make that happen. But if there is one guy that I'm getting off of those 4 for cash, it's probably going to be Ingram.
Decisions, and Tokyo came back with the price tag on FanDuel, 11.4. That is disgusting of a price for Harden. He needs to be in 100% of lineups.
Yeah, I'm not advising anything for FanDuel because I've never even looked at FanDuel before, so I don't even know what to compare 11.4 to.
Their prices are generally inflated over there at FanDuel, and if that's a lower price than DK, that's unbelievable.
I'm gonna rifle through a couple of these questions, Matt.
Sure.
Okay. Who's the one player you like from Boston and one from the Spurs? The Spurs tonight, I'd probably say DeRozan.
I agree.
I wish I could say DeJounte Murray, but just the minutes again aren't there. I feel like his limit is 26 and it stinks. So I like DeRozan tonight from the Celtics side of the ball. Kemba should be limited, so I do like I like Gordon Hayward tonight at 7-1. I like him a lot better at home on the road, which is a weird thing to say, but I do. I think he plays better at the Garden. Ingram or Lowry for GPP? I would say Lowry for GPP. Opinions on Jokic? I mean, he was an absolute beast the other night. I think he put up like 25 shots. He had like 70 DK points. I actually recommended him in GPP. 9-2, we got a little bit of a price bump. Actually, no, his price stayed the same. He was 9-2 against Atlanta. So I do like him as a GPP play tonight for sure in a competitive game against Dallas. Should be relatively high scoring. I know the Denver over-under is 109. Will Barton off, that only helps Jokic a little bit. So I definitely like him tonight for GPP. I don't think he'll carry as much ownership in cash, so I don't think you necessarily need him. But I think he's a really good play tonight.
We actually haven't talked about Trae Young because that just came up in a question. So Trae Young and John Collins I talked about them in our video. They're decent options just because of the over-under, the lack of defense that's going to be played in that game. I do not mind Trae Young or John Collins at all. So they're good GPP flyers. It's showing Trae Young at 22%, so he's going to be a little bit on the high owned side. But again, like this is going to be a stars and scrub kind of night. So if your build doesn't have James Harden and doesn't come back with all those value plays, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah. And just to touch base on that Ingram Lowry play, I think they're both good plays. But if you're playing GPP, I like the ownership of Lowry. I think he's going to be low owned in comparison to Ingram. So they're both really good plays. Ingram obviously in the higher over-under game, but Lowry should be in the more competitive game. Actually, they both should be relatively competitive. I mean, the Bulls and Pelicans both stink. So, yeah, I would say Lowry just from a ownership perspective. I don't think he'll be very high owned tonight. So, yeah, that's why
I'm going to do a little update here on the Pelicans. It doesn't seem like too much has changed, though. Minute-wise, they added Melly to the player pool, but only at 4 minutes here.
Yeah, he won't. Yeah, I don't think anything's really going to change.
Jackson Hayes got a slight bump here at 17 minutes. Very, just a shot in the dark for how he produces, because he is a good fantasy point per minute player, but still, I don't know, 3.2. Not too much to look at there. Brandon Ingram's usage did actually go up even more a little bit here. I know you don't like to hear that since he probably won't make it in your cash lineup, but
we'll see. I'm trying to get him in there. I think he's a very good play tonight, so that's why I want Beal to play. Beal plays. I had the lineup at 5:30, but
yeah,
it never works out like that. Is Vooch a solid cash play? Yeah, I mean, he won't carry a lot of ownership. He'll probably be like sub 12% tonight for cash. And I'd rather go down to Capella, save the money, and go with somebody that's going to be higher owned in a better spot against Atlanta. So I would advise just to go down to Capella. But I mean, Vooch going up against the Wizards, I think he's cash viable, sure. I don't think he'll be high owned, so I would rather go down to Capella if I were you.
Main plays tonight. We've gone over the main plays several times, but we'll go ahead and do it one more time for everybody who's joining late. We're going to get off here in like a minute. We really like Bobby Portis. We really like James Harden. We really like Gary Harris, Michael Porter, Brandon Ingram, and Josh Hart, and some very strong, and we also like McRae, some very strong GPP plays I'll throw out. It looks like the very low ownership is on Troy Brown. Gary Harris has low ownership, and I didn't mention this. This is the very first time I've mentioned this player, and I know TJ, I meant to come back to this guy. Chris Dunn is another underpriced player and a high pace-up game, so he's at 4.7. He's going to have the minutes there, so another low-owned GPP play there. And then the rest, I think we've already really talked about. Yeah, those are our favorite plays, though, on the entire slate.
My cash build tonight, my four core is going to be James Harden, Capella, McRae, and one of the two between Michael Porter and Bobby Portis, but I'm assuming all 5 of those are going to be my cash builds. I think those are probably the 5 chalkiest guys tonight. So I would advise to start with those 5 and then kind of tinker and mix and match with the rest of your 3, whether you can try and pay up for Ingram and find some bottom of the barrel guys, whether you want to go with some of those Houston guys and take your pick. There's also value. There's more value in the Wizards like Ish Smith. So yeah, those are the 5 guys that I'll be building my cash lineup around tonight.
All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. Any last words, TJ? Other than go Spurs, go.
Go Celtics. That's all I got, baby. I want to watch you try and do 50 push-ups tomorrow in a row.
All right.
I think everybody else, guys, you got to tune in tomorrow night if the Celtics win by 7. This is going to be hysterical watching Matt try and do 50 push-ups. Look at those arms. Let's all laugh together. That's all I want to say.
All right, I'll let you with that because I'm not going to come back and extend the stream here because I need to do some work. But I'll let you have that. Thank you guys for tuning in again. Hope you enjoy the streams. We have been on an absolute tear as of late, GPPs and cash. So if you guys haven't already, please hit that subscription button. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Have a great Wednesday night, and we'll hopefully we'll see everybody cash.
Thanks, guys. Good luck tonight.